to me, running with fear is having trust in the unseen, the uncertainty of your life to get to the other side. But that we get to that fear and we stop. But the other side of that fear is a whole new life. And that's when your seed, your world, your consciousness open up to receive the light, the help, the assistance, and the abundance you're looking for. Spiritual Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Bigger, and I'm back again with an incredible episode because we get to talk about astrocartography, astrology, and I have a phenomenal guest. I have Melissa Lambour. She's the CEO of the Cosmic Roadmap, and she's going to show and tell and speak about her journey to get into astrocartography, astrology, but more importantly, how she helped people transition in life and get to their fulfillment through her purpose and her soul's calling. Melissa, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good.
You know, I just want to read her bio because her bio is so incredible, people. And I met her through my client and book publisher, Deepika. And Melissa lives in Bali, but she's in the States right now. But I just want to read this out. Melissa Lambour is the founder and CEO of the Cosmic Roadmap, an ex-Army engineer, which I didn't know, turned digital entrepreneur, helping people in transition step into the identity they've been longing for with purpose through self-discovery and astrocartography. In 2022, she left New Jersey to follow her astro maps and has since called Bali home. Now she guides others to align their journeys with purpose, love, wealth, and spirituality. Now, Melissa, what was that transition like in 2022? And how did you know you had to go to Bali? And how did you get into this space of astrocartography? But tell us about the journey of you getting to the space you're in today.
Oh, the journey has not been linear, like many people's journeys. You know, I come from a family of immigrants. My family came from Guatemala in the 80s. So, you know, leaving the Civil War from back in Guatemala. And yeah, I grew up as an immigrant child. I was born here, first generation. And I always felt very disconnected, right? Like I didn't feel like my roots were here. I didn't feel like my roots were in Guatemala. So I realize, you know, fast forward to now, that a lot of people that I encounter, regardless of their backgrounds, they feel like they're lost. They really lack that sense of belonging. And that's where my offerings came from with astrocartography. But I always loved maps. I always loved, you know, planning the family trip. Like this was before Google Maps. So opening up the maps, you know, figuring out when we're supposed to stop for gas, how much it's going to be when we would go visit my family down in Florida. And now I feel like I'm doing that with astrology. So it's very fitting, right? Where you fall back to what you love doing as a child. And that's what I love. I love looking at maps. I love astrology. And that was a perfect mix. And the moment that dropped in was after my spiritual awakening when I went to a yoga class. There was a yoga studio around the corner from me. I live in the countryside in New Jersey back in 2019. And I think for maybe 2-3 years, this yoga studio was on my radar. And finally, I'm like, all right, they offer some shamanic stuff. Let me just walk in there. And yeah, like after a few classes, there was one girl, she's like, you know, you can figure out where to be in the world with astrology. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And she showed me these maps and it was just amazing. So for the next few months, I had these maps open and, you know, looking at the 20 plus places that I had already been to and figuring out why did I feel like this? Why did I connect with this particular person? Why did these things happen in these places? And it didn't all click until a few years later, not even a few years later, but a few months later, where I was like, all right, I want to offer something spiritual. And I thought I was going down the Reiki path because I was doing all the Reiki certification, energy work, working with tarot and oracle cards and crystals. And astrocartography just came into the picture, and that was the missing puzzle piece. And people were asking like, oh, how do I figure out how to be, you know, where to be? And I'm like, oh, this. And I used to send your source. I used to send the website to people and they're like, Melissa, I don't know what these lines are all about. And that's when I realized that I'm supposed to be a guide. And I stepped into that, you know, not knowing how to offer it, but it started unfolding. Right? Because it was meant to be my path. That's how I got into astrocartography. And that was all happening beside me having a career in engineering. So I knew 3 years into my career that I wanted to be a digital nomad. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I planted that seed back in 2009. Yeah, by planting that seed, I knew like I was on that path, and that was the spiritual awakening was what cracked everything open.
Yeah, and I think, what I discovered in life and beautiful story, being an immigrant coming from Guatemala, coming to the States, being an engineer. You said you planted a seed in 2009. And I think what I hear in your story is that you were open and curious about something different, being a nomad, right? You love maps. And so I want to speak to people who are going to listen and people who are going to watch this or who are watching and listening. Think about what she just said. Like she followed what was in her soul. She was soul led. She was spirit led. And this is what spiritual fitness is about. You listen to your spirit and it calls you into that fitness of that knowing, right? And it opened Melissa up to this way of looking at maps. And, she's into astrology. She's a Pisces as well, like me. So we're very sensitive, emotional, and intuitive. But what I'm learning, and I want people to know that there's something that's calling your soul to its higher self, right? And that's your creativity, that's flow, that's the flow state, that's ease. And there's something that's in alignment. I call your soul's assignment. And for you, you helped me in 2024, help me understand because I wanted to move where I should be in the world, what makes sense. And I was like, why do I always attract long distance relationships? And you kind of gave me like that call to like, if you go here, this will happen. But if you live here, this would expand. So I found out last year through Melissa's work and her offering when she helped me that LA was good for career and purpose. So being out here at the time, 14 years, her work, her gift allowed me to feel safe in my choice that I made 14 years prior. And I said, okay, I feel safe. Because sometimes, at that point, I feel like I made a mistake. Like I did all this for what? But it was part of my purpose. It was part of my call out. But Melissa, to people listening, because people understand astrology, they don't know it as much. Can you give people a deep dive or a synopsis of what astrocartography is? Because when I like to look at it, I would say astrology and geography as one. How can you explain it to the average person who don't know about astrology so it can benefit their life so they might can get a reading or something to think about in the future?
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for giving that background. It's essentially, yeah, your astrological birth chart plotted on a world map. So just imagining, your Pluto line, your Venus line, your Mercury line, all of those lines are plotted on this world map, and every person has a unique blueprint or a unique astro map. And so you might benefit in LA. I might not have those same lines. So I also do couple sessions, and that's why you have to figure out where the lines are harmonious and where you have to make compromises. Like where do you bring those energies from other places? Not even in relationship, but just with yourself, right? You might not be able to move from, where I was. I was in New Jersey. I built my business during COVID times, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my Pluto energy. This is all about transformation. How do I make it work? So it was a beneficial energy, but it's also a very difficult energy to be in. It's constantly pushing you to be in alignment. And all of the lines that you're going to come into contact on your astro maps are going to push you to be in alignment, because just me telling you, oh yeah, you have Venus energy, you're not going to find your love, right? Venus has to do with love, and it's a very flirty energy, but you have to be in alignment with what you're meant to be doing in life. So surrendering, right? Surrendering to what you're meant to be, surrendering to your purpose.
And I think it's important, especially I feel like life, the planet, the collective consciousness is in a transition right now. And everybody's in this middle phase of what do I do? What do I want? What is life about? Especially people who've accomplished a lot of things and are still not happy and they're feeling empty or they're feeling lost, or people coming from one situation, moving to a next, or they just got out of a divorce, a breakup, or they lost a job. How would you help those people with what you do transition into their higher self for the purpose of where they want to go so they can feel safe? Because what I realize in life, it's not so much about the end point, right? It's not so much about what I'm going to get, more so what we're going to become and how we feel safe in our nervous system about where we can go based on the evidence or the information provided. So how can you help someone? I have a client, who just stepped down as CEO. Her and her husband had a business for 20 years. I think a company kind of invested a lot of their dollars in it and they grew it. But she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm a mom of 2 older girls and I want to step down and get out of this masculine energy. I want to be an opera singer. I just want to be in my femininity. And not that she's lost, but just example, how would someone like her benefit from the cosmic roadmap energy.
Yeah, thank you. And that's exactly it. I thought my ideal client was the nomad, right? That was anywhere, but they're going to check off their bucket list and go wherever their bucket list says. And so, yeah, I actually work with people in transition, just like you mentioned. Those are my ideal clients because I realized moms were coming to me, couples, like people that they were on the verge of divorce. Melissa, like, is it the energy that we both have here? Like, what is going on? So I've dealt with the whole gamut, even students that are graduating. Do I move cross country? Just like you said, changing careers, like they're stepping out of this life that they were in and like, what's next? Do I start my business here? Do I start my nonprofit? Where is it? Like which area specifically? Retreats are another thing. So I have a lot of health workers, wellness and healers that come to me. Do I do my retreat in Costa Rica? Do I go to Colombia? Like where do I do it? So it's really astrocartography can be whatever under the sun.
Yeah.
I'm really helping people in transition because that's who I was, right? Transitioning from engineering to this digital nomad life. And how do we do that with purpose and intention?
Yeah, and it's important. Why do you think in your line of work or just expertise from over the years, I can't say astrocartography is like in the shadow side of life, but people don't talk about it as much. I feel like astrology, human design is kind of getting pushed to the forefront. Why do you think people don't really mention astrocartography as much? What is that perspective you feel? Because I think it's just as important or more important to know this part of your soul's calling through your chart, through your geography where you live.
I've been having a lot of people mention that it's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
Now that people are mobile, now that, we've gone out of this.
Yeah. Remote working. Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, now that people can remote work, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to just stick around in the US. Like, let me see where else I can work. But yeah, there's so many ways that you can use astrocartography to just pinpoint, just how to change your life in a certain way, because you can have some goals like finding love, spirituality, and kind of see where that's maximized, where you have the fullest potential.
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to transition into two topics you just discussed somewhat, love and money, and how effective astrocartography can help people in those lenses. Because there's a guy named Ty Lopez, and he said, just find a way to make 6 figures a year. I think it's like 100,000 and move to Brazil. You'll be a millionaire, right? I guess on a, exchange rate as far as the dollar. But how can astrocartography help someone in their career make more money or be in a space where they can receive more? And how can it help someone find love? Like, what is it in astrocartography? Because I know in my reading, you talked about my descendant, and my descendant in astrology, and my knowing is the opposite of your rising, right? But I think in Astro is the North Node, right?
Yeah, you had the moon node in the descendant.
Got it.
That had to do with purpose, and DC or descendant has to do with relationships. Even before we got on the call, I was like, there's something here. Like there's thing related to relationships, and that was exactly.
Yeah, and because I'm eventually moving to the OC because of a relationship, right? Or because of a partner, or because of I'm growing, my soul is expanding. And does astrocartography give you like a timeline at a certain age? Do things change or shift, or do they always remain fixed? Like, how does that work? Like, you know how we have the Saturn return at age 27 to 30, right?
Yes, your astrological birth chart. So that's, the transitions are always moving, but your astro maps, the way that you look at them are based on your birth time, your birthplace. So that doesn't change. So that's fixed, but your goals are constantly changing. So if you look at a particular place, it might not be the best for you at a certain time in your life, right? You might be looking at Venus energy earlier in your life where it's more flirty, you're looking for love, but then later in life, moon energy, where that's more grounding, where you're planning to set roots, like build a family, then that moon energy might be a bit better. So in my example, I moved out to Bali because I had my moon energy there. Immediately started planting roots, like got my visa, found my partner. Like it was just, like month after month, I was already planting those seeds. And yeah, 3 years in.
That was beautiful because I want to go deeper into that. But can you just explain like the love and the money part with astrocartography and how people can benefit? Because the more I see life, I feel like this is a common like conflict or challenge for people is either money or it's love or it's even both, right? how can that benefit someone?
And that's usually what people come to me for. So for love, it would usually be Venus energy, moon energy, Jupiter. I say that it's good all around for love and for home because Jupiter is all about abundance. So if you do find that pink line when you go onto your astro map, which is usually Jupiter, that one is just going to allow you ease in all areas of your life. And then for money as well, right? And then moon energy, like I was saying, that one is more grounding. It allows you to set those roots and to really, it's more inward. I realized for my business, I haven't been so like out there.
Yeah.
But I am setting those roots where like I want to buy land, I want to have maybe an Airbnb or like an eco lodge or something,
Yeah.
right? And something long term where the Jupiter might be a bit more energy outward. Sun energy is the spotlight, is the illumination. So if you want to be famous, you want to be seen, that's a great energy to step into for money.
Oh, so that's a great energy based on astrocartography for money. If you have like fame or your sun placement within your astrocartography.
Exactly. Because just imagine it's just like a spotlight, right?
Yeah. Now I want to go into what you just said about, more feeling grounded, feeling more at home, like for my chart. So I've noticed in the first reading, you told me about LA, Thousand Oaks. You even was telling me like the Hamptons up in New York area, but you just say LA is good for career and purpose. Now, was my sun energy or placement in that area of California? I'm not sure. I can't
I
recall.
don't remember it being there, but after our session, I noticed that you did have some energy running through San Diego, the Chiron MC. So if you go back to your notes, I put it in there. But that one, MC, midheaven, is always related to future career. And Chiron is healing. The fact that spiritual fitness, always adding a little bit of like spirituality to what you're doing, I think it's just a perfect place, right? You had the purpose energy and then the healing energy. And that's
Yeah, and it's all in California because I think after our session, I recall you saying something like, I guess LA for me was like ego energy. That's where I got my fame and that's where I was on TV and I was in the public eye. And then when I go to Orange County, I feel more at home. I feel more in my body. I feel more grounded. But you said that's for relationships. What if you're more rooted? I don't know. It just feels like I can't say LA's not safe, but I just feel more at home in my body. Oh, this feels more relaxing on my nervous system. It doesn't feel like I gotta speed up. But then you was giving me like if I live here, this is more good for like visibility and fame and fortune in those parts of OC. And so I just know people listening, if you really want to dive deep into like your calling, your career, your purpose, location, love. It's so important to go beyond astrology and book of reading with Melissa about astrocartography because it just gives you peace. I can't explain it, right? Like you make me feel so good about aha. Because I would tell my girlfriend anytime I would leave LA and get to like a point in Orange County, I can feel in my nervous system when I'm driving, like I drop into my body. I feel more at home. And even last year before when we were just dating, I was like, oh, this is what Melissa was saying about the OC area feels like self-healing. And I'm like, oh, this is what she's talking about.
and even connecting with your girlfriend, right? From that area and her ancestry is from too, right? You're connecting to that energy as well.
Like I was saying before, I feel like I live this individualistic, egotistical life in Hollywood. Like, oh, look at me, boom. To like want something more real, more long term, more grounded energy to build a real foundation and take it to the next level. So I'm really fortunate and thankful for that. But in your world, in today, what did you feel like the world is missing or what we're lacking right now that we so called need? What do you think?
I think people need to run with fear.
Oh, that's good. How did you come up with that?
I'm a very timid person, and maybe people they look at me like, she's not gonna, go ahead with whatever she's put out, right? But I've always been in my integrity. Like anytime that I say I'm gonna do something, I am gonna do it, regardless if I'm scared. So yeah, so running with fear.
Wow, hold on, I gotta sit on that for a minute. Let me breathe that in. So yeah, so people, I think we need to kind of like take that in, run with fear. So the reason I'm pausing is because I was watching a clip on Instagram by Scooter Braun, and he was talking about the real story behind Moses parting the Red Sea. And in that story, he said the real reason was the Egyptians would come in and to take over land, and Moses got this call to go to the ocean and to jump in, and God was going to part the Red Sea. But if I'm recalling in this story, he said it wasn't Moses, it was some other guy. I can't remember his name, and everybody that Moses was trying to bring was telling him, no, no, it's crazy. You want us to die. You want us to drown, right? And I forgot the guy's name. He had so much faith and trust. And he's like, well, I'm going to put my face and I'm just going to jump in this water. And as soon as this guy jumped in the water or put his face, I can't remember what part of his body, but he was in the ocean. That's when God parted the Red Sea, right? Is when he stepped into the fear, the uncertainty, the uncomfortability, right? And that's when the sea parted. And so that's, to me, running with fear is having trust in the unseen, the uncertainty of your life to get to the other side. But that we get to that fear and we stop. But the other side of that fear is a whole new life. And that's when you see your world, your consciousness open up to receive the light, the help, the assistance, and the abundance you're looking for. And I think that's such a beautiful, like, I don't know if you can coin that, you can trademark that, run with fear. Because when I even feel fear about anything, everything I've ever done, Melissa, I've done it in fear. Not consciously, but unconscious. When I was called to go on TV, I wasn't afraid. Even in my relationship, I'm like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm broken. I was going to Peru that year where you get the call, but I'm like, I need to put myself back together. I was like, you know what? God brought this into my life. I have trust and I'm running with it. And it had to a point where I was like, I don't know. Then I just turned the corner and things just got better and I expanded. So people run with fear and have trust in the unseen. When you think about spiritual fitness, what does that mean to you?
Spiritual fitness. I think of the rituals, like the rituals that we have to do every day. I know I'm someone that I love to journal. And if I don't do my meditation and this, like, it's not like A to C or whatever it is. Yeah, I kind of fall off track. But spiritual fitness, I think, is tuning back into yourself.
That's really good. Tuning back into yourself.
Regardless of what it is, it may not be a yoga practice or journaling, but back to yourself.
Like you love the mats. You love the mat. You tip to the mats and the mats log to the cosmic roadmap. So now you offer that all over the world. You have clients in transition. You teach people how to make money. You also do like tarot card readings, Reiki. You do it all.
I complement, my cartography with so much energy work and just intuitive.
So how can we get into your vortex of business? How can we join something that you're presenting or you're offering? How can we find you? Can you give us the details?
Yeah, you can find me at cosmicroadmap.com or on my Instagram where I'm more active, so cosmic.roadmap. And I offer one-on-ones. I also do mentorships. Yeah, and I have a triple moon goddess retreat, which the second one is coming. So June of 2026, we will be going back to Guatemala, Lake Atitlan. And I joined by 2 other practitioners as well. So I'm the third of the triple moon goddesses. And yeah, I'm allowing you to figure out what energy you have in Guatemala and what is it meant to manifest in your life. So it's a really powerful retreat. We just finished one up this past June. So I'm excited to go back to my motherland, essentially. So
Your home. Yeah. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you for all the beautiful work you do in the world, your gift, your presence, your knowing, your trust in the unseen. And thank you for helping me in my life, like literally. I really appreciate you in a way that you probably don't know because it's like, this is what you do. But when I think about it, for me, it's always these little moments from people that you barely know, but actually help you go further than you ever think because they know you in such a short span of time. But I do believe, and I want to coin this and honor you, that you are part of my new soul family and my soul tribe. So thank you. You've helped me scale my life and understand and have more safety and certainty in life moving forward. So people, this is not, a moment that I'm acknowledging her for, but it's something that's meaningful to my career, my purpose. And I think what she offers is way more than just, giving you the location and the idea, but giving you that trust in your body and in your psyche and in your life that this can help you. So book a reading, follow Melissa, go to her Instagram. She's such an angel and she does great work for the world. And I'm just really honored and thank you again. Here's another episode of Spiritual Fix. Be great. Peace.